Hey there, Steeler Nation. Flip Fisher, staff writer for BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. Hopefully everybody's doing fantastic today after a big win yesterday against the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, definitely not a beautiful game. It was ugly. But 16-10 victory, that kind of fits the narrative for the whole season, doesn't it? Now, talking about ugly, get into Mason Rudolph's play. Now, I've begged on Rudolph for a number of weeks. And some people will say that I'm a Rudolph hater. Well, I'm not. You know, I've always said about Rudolph, he's a third-round pick. And I never bought into the whole Kevin Colbert saying he was a first-round pick. A lot of others did. A lot of others lapped that up. Not me. Me. I did not buy into that one little bit. But now we have people making excuses for Rudolph all over again. Since his concussion, he's not the same quarterback. Well, you know, before his concussion, he wasn't exactly a great quarterback then either. But let's get real here. That Seattle game. Was he great in the Seattle game? No. One of the drives started on the 3-yard line for Seattle. He was handed a gift there. You know, let's look at some of his drives in that game. That's not overly impressive, especially when you look at the amount of yards. Yeah, he had some good drives. I'll give you that. But when it takes 3 plays to get one yard on the touchdown, or the other touchdown drives, 1 play, 3 yards, not impressed with that. I'm going to talk a lot about that here later on. Now, before I really get too carried away here, be sure to give me a thumbs up. Hey, I'm perfectly fine if you want to give me a thumbs down. You don't think I'm doing a good service here. All right with that. Be sure to subscribe, though, because I do put up content like this that I don't put up on BTSC. And be sure to ring that bell to get notified when I put up content that does not get put on BTSC. So that being said, I know there's not many people in here. I know some of the other Steelers podcasters were going on. I was actually listening to them before. I'm going to screw it up. I know it was Brian and sorry, drawing a blank. On the other one. Gonna get yelled at probably for that. My apologies, guys. So let's hop into some of this a little bit. You know, let's look at Mason Rudolph here. Let's get really serious here. Now, against Baltimore, he was 13 of 20 for 131 yards. And he had 3 scores and 7 drives in his time there. The first field goal we started on their 16. And we kicked the field goal on the 23 because of Rudolph's sack. Now, the second one started on the 25, and we kicked the field goal from the 11-yard line. Now, that was helped by a 10-yard roughing the passer penalty. So we actually moved the ball 4 whole yards that game. That's Mason Rudolph pre-concussion. There's absolutely nothing impressive. Now let's get into Miami. He was terrible that first half against Miami. And I showed that in the film study. 20 of 36, 251 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Was against a winless Miami Dolphins team. Not a good. We had 5 scoring drives out of the 11. I'll take that. I'm fine with that. Now, Indianapolis, that was the game that he was the check down king. 26 of 35, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. 5 scores on 11 drives. But you gotta remember, some of those drives, like the field goal right before half, they would have never got that. We would have never got that except for we were gifted a roughing call right before. Got us in the field goal range. And then, of course, we got lucky at the end, Vinatieri missing the field goal. The Rams, 22 of 38, 242, and 1 touchdown. Now, the Rams have a good pass defense. I'm not going to take anything away from them. But let this number sink in. We had 2 scoring drives in the 14 drives we had that game. That's terrible. And, we came out of that ugly game as well. 17-12 win. That's on the defense. That's the defense winning that game. And then you get to the Browns game. 43 of 44, 221, 1 touchdown, and these 4 huge interceptions. Now, I showed in my film study the other day that absolutely one of those interceptions was not on him. The first one, it was just a great play. And it was a very good throw on his part. But you thought that the 2 scores in 14 drives was bad? Let's get into the Browns here. 1 score on 14 drives. In those games, he accounted for all the 5 touchdowns we had. We had 5 offensive touchdowns over that span. Over the span of Miami, Indianapolis, LA, Cleveland, and his time in the Cincy game. 5 touchdowns offensively. And 2 of those touchdowns were against the terrible Miami Dolphins. We weren't winning those games because of Rudy. We were winning those games in spite of Rudy. Now, I've said that a lot in the past 6 weeks or so, give or take. And I've asked that question a lot. And I ask that question after every game. Did we win or lose that game because of Rudolph? And for me, a lot of times the answer was somewhere in between. We definitely lost the Cleveland game because of. Did we beat the Rams because of him or in spite of him? Well, on our touchdown scoring drive that we had against the Rams, that was actually propelled along because of a pass interference where Rudolph threw a terrible interception. So, okay, enough of some of that. So, the Cincy game, 6 of 15 for 85 yards in the first half. And of course, he was 0 for 1 in the second half. Tomlin finally said enough was enough. It killed another 2 red zone drives in that game, 1 with the interception. We are one of the worst red zone scoring teams in the league. This is a team that a lot of people talked about last year scoring 30 points a game. Yeah, we're without some weapons. Absolutely. But we weren't really using those weapons a whole lot anyway. Not like Rudolph was tearing it up with Juju. You didn't see him throwing the Juju 12 times a game, like you do whatever quarterback in Houston throws to DeAndre Hopkins. Not like that. We're just not sustaining drives once we get into the red zone. One field goal after another. After he threw that interception against Cincinnati, here's a stat that I thought was crazy. 5 interceptions in 28 throws. Holy smokes, that's ridiculous. 5 interceptions in 28 passes? Wow. And to go that whole stretch with no other offensive touchdowns. It's awful. Now, let's look at little Duck Hodges. Now, I've been a supporter of Hodges. Now, I'm gonna need to say some and clarify some things here, though. I wanted to see more of Hodges in the preseason because I felt I had seen enough of Dobbs already. I saw all that I wanted to see out of Joshua Dobbs against Oakland last year. I saw a pretty bad quarterback against Oakland last year. And I figured Rudolph was probably going to be penciled in too. So I wanted to see in preseason what Hodges would actually bring. Well, didn't get to see much of him. So when the Steelers cut him, I was like, oh, closed the book on him. Hope him the best. And then, we bring him back. And I was saying this all the time after Ben got hurt. I don't want to see Hodges. I want to see Hodges in there. I want to see what we have with Rudolph. I said that over and over. Seattle game, San Fran game, Cincy game. Then he gets hurt. Rudolph gets hurt in the Baltimore game. Still didn't really want to see Hodges. An undrafted rookie free agent. I don't care how many records he has in the FCS. I care that he broke a 22-year-old Steve McNair record for the most passing yards ever. I knew exactly what he was. He was a undrafted rookie free agent that nobody wanted. And, at times, I saw some really good things out of him in the preseason, but I sure didn't. Those were against guys that are working at Home Depot now. I didn't want to see him on the field, except for mop-up duty. But, when he played in that Baltimore game, he looked good. He was 7-9 for 68 yards. No sacks in a bit over a quarter. He got a TD. Got him got a field goal. That's in 3 drives against Baltimore in that game. When I was watching that game, I was like, wow. I was pretty surprised. Did he make some bad throws? Absolutely. Yeah, he made a very bad judgment call on trying to muscle the ball down the field on an interception that was negated due to a penalty. And the funny thing is, between the 3 drives there, that was not a scoring drive. It was actually probably, it was very, very important. Because that play took 7 plays, 54 yards, and ended up in a punt. But it flipped the field position and allowed us to get that field goal, put that game in, though. Where, what would have happened if Juju hadn't fumbled? Well, we don't know. Never know. Would Hodges have just thrown a pick 6 right after that? Who knows? Then the Chargers game. You talk about game manager, absolutely. 15-20, 132 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That is game manager ridden all over it. Walked out of there with that touchdown. He walked out of there with that interception too. People like to point out. But, as I pointed out in game or film study that I think you can really blame him for that interception. That's Johnny Holton being terrible Johnny Holton, standing there waiting for the ball to come. And he had the safety wrap around him. Come, get right in front of him and intercept that. And it was just terrible on Johnny Holton's part. But, it wasn't the best throw either. The ball kind of hung up there. But he did have 3 scores on his 8 drives during that game. Did we win because of him? Well, no. We won because of our defense. Yeah, the Chargers are a good team. And look, these teams that we're going up against, they do have some very good. Let me flip that around backwards, didn't I? So, Hodges went up against the Chargers, 4th ranked pass defense in yards given up. Yeah, Rudolph has gone up against the Rams and was okay. They both went up against the Ravens, and they both did okay. So, you gotta take it for what it is. With them going up against some of these defenses, they've looked good at times. Both of them have looked good. I even said that at Cleveland, that Rudolph did have some nice passes in the second half, but they were just blown away by the 3 interceptions. Now, my big thing with Rudolph is I've watched game after game with him. I've probably seen 3 of his plays at least once. At least once each. So, I'm not a film expert. I'm not going to BS you and say that I am. I'm some guy throwing up some YouTube videos that I do some writing for BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. But I'm far from an expert on videotape. Not me. I think I'm fairly decent at editing it, or I hope so, right? But my analysis, I'm not some guy at CBS or Fox or NFL.com or whatever. I'm not even, your local sports guy that you're catching at 10. Not that guy. But I think I do okay. I'm not going to toot my own horn there. I think I do okay. Now, that being said, let's get into some of the evaluations on Rudolph. I've been saying this. He has been digressing over the weeks. And I'm not blaming this on this concussion. For the people that blame this on the concussion, it's even worse for Rudolph if you're going to blame this on that concussion. Because you're basically blaming him for digressing for something that he might not ever get over. And I just don't think that's the case. I don't think it's the concussion. I don't. I think a lot of it has to do with teams have figured him out. They figured out he can't throw the deep ball. And he can't. Rudolph is 8 of 34 of passes over 20 yards. What do these teams have to fear with that? Lock those safeties up. Is his inability to throw the deep ball, and before I start, go on, he's had a couple of passes dropped that were deep. Absolutely. Johnny Stonehands Holton has got him a few times. But even a dozen of 34 would still be bad. Yeah, and you got to remember 2 of those were on busted coverages early in the year. believe one was to Washington, another one was to Johnson. Don't quote me on that. I remember one was in the San Fran game when Verrett got looking in the back, looking back at Rudolph. And, Rudolph just threw an easy pass to Johnson. But he's not been good on those deep passes. I mean, how many times have you seen him throw, especially on the right-hand side? He's throwing those deep passes on the right-hand side, and they're all landing out of bounds. They're not catchable. Yeah. He has thrown some of those deep passes like he did to Kane this week, and I really like that Kane kid. I really do. I'm excited to see him progress. The pass that he threw to Kane, that was underthrown. And a 50-50 ball on top of it. But, I'd rather see him attacking one-on-one than not attacking at all. But even before his concussion, how comfortable did he ever look in the pocket? He doesn't stand there with poise. He's just so gun-shy in the pocket, before and after. So it's just not since the concussion thing. And I wish people would stop with that narrative. Because it's, in my opinion, my humble opinion, true. His pocket presence has been almost non-existent. One thing that really baffles me with him, I've seen this over and over, is he steps up and he takes a step to throw the ball, and he's running into one of his linemen on like every other throw. All he's got to do is move a little bit, a foot or two. Move those feet just a tad bit. And he's running into interceptions because of it, where he's not being able to get enough arm on the throw. And I think he does have a big arm. It's just inaccurate. And is being hindered by his footwork. Being in the pocket like that. Troy Aikman, I think it was Troy Aikman. I think I called him Tony Romo. Tony Romo. I think I called him Tony Romo. But, Troy Aikman talked about this on Thursday during the game. That he just doesn't find cleaner space in the pocket. He doesn't have to move 5 feet. He's only got to move 1 or 2 feet to get into a little cleaner pocket. You don't have to roll out. Just move a little bit. Step back. Does he keep his eyes downfield when he's actually moving out of the pocket? No. I've pointed that out over and over. He's not a scrambling quarterback. We all know that. I don't know where he exactly falls into the category. I'd hate to say this, but, look at Ben. Ben always kept his eyes downfield. Okay, well, that's a bad comparison because, geez, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Well, I'm comparing him what he should be doing. I'm saying this is what he's not doing. Hodges, for the most part, keeps his eyes down the field when he's moving out of the pocket. A fair comparison? Comparing a second-year quarterback that was drafted in the 3rd round to an undrafted rookie free agent that nobody wanted? Or is it fair to compare Rudolph to Ben? Is it fair to compare Rudolph to other quarterbacks that are always looking down the field when they're moving? Just saying. It's what quarterbacks are supposed to do. Whether you're a Hall of Fame quarterback or a nobody quarterback like Devlin Duck. The progression on the targets, I've shown that over and over. The lack of it. We saw that in the Schobert interception when Rudolph threw the interception over the middle. He was watching the wide receiver, who I don't remember, coming from left to right. And he was locked in on him left to right. He did not see Schobert sitting there waiting with his shark fin out of the water with the Jaws theme playing in the background. And of course, Rudolph throws the ball. Schobert snags it. Snags an easy interception. Piece of cake. But, you know, the really tough thing here is what things that I just list can be taught, can be wiped away, can be fixed. What can't be fixed? You know, footwork absolutely can be fixed. But looking downfield, going through progression, can that be fixed? Well, you would think. But that comes down to football IQ. Am I going to question his football IQ? Well, you know, I'm not seeing a quarterback progressing. I'm seeing one regress. So, am I coming out flatly and questioning his football IQ? No, I'm not. I think Rudolph is probably a very brilliant guy. But there are things in his game that he is missing right now. Big holes in his game. You know, he's getting lucky on some stuff. The touchdown that he did have against Cleveland, he missed a target right over the middle. And then he started bouncing around the pocket there. And he did find Samuels, his outlet, favorite check down, which Cleveland kept in check most of that game because of the coverage on him, and took away those from Rudolph. What do I think about Rudolph in the future? You know, I'm going to talk about that later on. But let's get into a little Devlin Duck Hodges, or when I get all excited about him, I'll call him Devlin Duck Dodges. Fun. You know, he is what he is. He is an undrafted rookie free agent that absolutely nobody wanted for multiple times. But who cares? Who cares what other teams with him? Big whoop. We've seen him win one game. He was marching down the field to possibly win a second game. And he came in relief and didn't make mistakes in the Chargers game. He didn't lose that game. Sorry, not the Chargers game. The Bengals game. He didn't lose that game. Did he win that game? Well, he got the big touchdown. Somebody had to throw it, right? And, you know, he threw it to a wide open guy who ran for about another 20 yards after that because the ball was nicely thrown. And then, you know, of course, you know, Washington had a great stiff arm. Not as good as Vance McDonald last year, but it was still very good. But it was still, that plays on Rudolph, or on Hodges. Hodges made that play happen by throwing the ball. Can't take that away from him. Did that get to 7 points? You bet. Did he win the game? I'll let you all debate that in the comments. He didn't lose the game. This is one of my favorite lines. Did we win the game because of him? Did we lose? Did we win the game in spite of him? Definitely not in spite of him. He didn't make mistakes. Did he actually do enough for you to give him a big thumbs up and said, we won that game because of you? I'm going to say that most of our games we have won because of our defense. And Chris Boswell. And I'm gonna give out a big thumbs up to another guy that's not getting enough love, and punter, who loves punters anyway. Jordan Berry has been awesome this year. Jordan Berry is looking like a Pro Bowl kicker, punter. So What am I seeing with Duck? Boys. Does he ever look like this stage is too big for him? Never. You never see that out of him. It's that poise. You know, you even see those in his interviews. This is the stage is not too big for him. This is a guy that came from Samford, not Stanford, Samford. And I gotta give him kudos for that. He just doesn't look flustered out there. You know, how many of you are surprised by this? That he does look cool as a cucumber, cool as the other side of your pillow. I'm blown away by it. How cool, calm, collected. He's had to come in cold 2 games. Now, I think how many snaps has he had with any? That's pretty impressive. I like his mobility. I do. I think I saw somebody put up a 4.74 or 4.76 at his pro day. I thought it was like in the 4.5, but I was absolutely wrong. It's not like he's got great wheels, but his mobility's good. And when he's on the move, he's generally keeping his eyes down the field, looking for targets. And we've seen him be pretty accurate. Now people go, are you kidding me? He was just 5'11" in Cincinnati. Well, he's played in more than one game. And we can look at his overall passing numbers, if I can actually get on his stats here. 67.5%. Did he check down a lot to get to that point? Yes, in the Chargers game. But, he also had some nice passes in that Chargers game besides check down. But, Hodges also has some issues. I'm not going to be here and sugarcoat those. Lack of arm strength. Does not have a big arm. Do you need a big arm in the NFL? Well, doesn't hurt. His footwork is bad. At times. One thing I seen in the Chargers game was him sitting there bouncing on his feet and backing up while he was bouncing. Now, I don't remember seeing that. And I hammered on him in the Chargers game. And I believe to a certain extent, I saw it a couple of times in Baltimore. Oh, but I didn't see that. I didn't see him bouncing backward against Cincinnati. Now, I don't exactly know why he was bouncing backwards. Was he trying to see over the line? I'm not sure. Which brings me to the next thing. Is he too short to play in the NFL? He's 6 foot tall. Oh, I'm not going to buy that. Russell Wilson's not a Jolly Green Giant. Not 6'5". Drew Brees. Huh? 6'5"? Nope. I don't think height's a big issue. I think so. Look at Rudolph. 6'5". How many passes does he get tipped? A lot. How many passes has Hodges had tipped? Off the top of my head, I can't think of any. But I'm going to assume that I'm wrong, just because I would highly figure that he had a few. His pocket presence, and I knock on Rudy about this too, is sometimes he feels the pressure that's not necessarily there. And neither one of them climb the pocket. We never see that. We saw Rudy almost climb the pocket against Cleveland on the touchdown to Samuels. But then he backed off. And he backed up into the pressure. Now, I haven't seen Hodges do this. Now, we got a very small sample size. Hodges. But One thing that I'm going to knock Duck on pretty hard is got to set his feet. He doesn't have arm strength. He's got to set his feet and throw that ball. He's not going to muscle that ball with a lot of zip for 30, 40 yards, 25 yards. He's got to plant his feet to throw into those tight windows. In the Chargers game, he threw a absolute dart to Johnson on a timing route over the middle, and he was throwing that before Johnson even broke into his route, and it was a perfect pass, and it was a nice hard throw. So I don't question his arm strength being terrible. It's just not great. But he cannot he can't muscle the ball down the field. Not Big Ben. So he's got to work on his footwork. Got to plant his feet and throw that ball. So now we talk about this week. Well, wishy-washy Tomlin, which, I'm not a Tomlin hater. I'm not a Tomlin detractor. So, that being said, I'm a little upset that Tomlin has not said it's all on Hodges. I'm upset by that. I think that's kind of crazy that he has not come out and said that. And it's frustrating. Why hasn't he come out and said that already? Rudolph hasn't played well. The team has 5 offensive touchdowns in his 5 games. It's awful. Terrible, stagnant offense. Now, is Duck a ton better? Well, I wouldn't say a ton better, but he sure hasn't thrown 4 interceptions in a game now, has he? He didn't throw any interceptions on Sunday against Cincinnati. Some people will criticize him for a ball that he threw at the into the ground near Nick Vigil. He throws that pass like it should be thrown. That's a pick 6. And odds are we might have lost that game because of that. So he did not cost us a win. Absolutely, he should be starting on Sunday. And I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna say this right now. I think Tomlin should come out and say, now we want to see what we get out of Hodges for the rest of the year. I absolutely want to see what he has the rest of the year. We have 6 games left. 5 games left. Tough game against Cleveland. They just tore us apart. They tore Rudolph apart. People talk about, well, we don't want to see Rudolph in there. What's going to happen with his head? Rudolph's a professional. Rudolph doesn't care about the controversy. He would go out to that game and play it like he normally would. But hopefully we don't see that. I want to see Hodges. We have playoff hopes right now. Are we going to go far in the playoffs? No. Nope. I don't have any illusions. Just like I don't have any illusions of Hodges being a great quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. I'm not even sure he's a good quarterback. But I want to see what we have in him. I think we've seen plenty of what Rudolph brings to the table. I want to see, and I've said this in preseason, I wanted to see Duck Hodges against second or third string guys in preseason. Now I want to see against first string guys. I want to see him up against that solid Cleveland secondary. And then I want to see him against the Arizona Cardinals. And then that tough Bills defense. I want to see him against the Jets because, the Jets just trounced somebody yesterday pretty bad. I believe they only gave up 3 points. I don't remember who it was. So I'm going to click on them real quick. And, they put the smackdown on the Raiders. This is not a terrible. It's not the Jets how they were earlier in this. I'm not going to say Oakland is a barn burner of a team because they're not. And then, of course, the Ravens. The Ravens will probably have the division wrapped. They might even be sitting players. But look, Rudolph had his, 8 games that he played in? Hearts. We've seen Hodges for, 7, 8 quarters? Now it's time to see what he can do when he's named the starter for the rest of the year. Give the kid some confidence. Stand behind him. And don't get all wishy-washy, Tomlin. Don't get all wishy-washy. And bench him at some point during that stretch. Put him in there. Sink or swim. Let the duck do what the duck does. Is he going to tread water? Is he going to fly with the offense? What's going to happen with him? I don't know. But I want to see him for the rest of the year. I saw enough of Mason Rudolph. 5 interceptions and 38 passes. I've seen enough. Don't want to see anything more. I want to see more. Am I saying that Hodges is a franchise quarterback in the wings? The next Warren Moon, Tony Romo, Kurt Warner? No, no, come on now. Let's not get ridiculous here. I know what he is. He is a potential backup caliber quarterback. Is he a backup quarterback? No. Yeah, he hasn't shown me enough. But Rudy hasn't shown me anything either. So give me Hodges. I want to see what Hodges brings. Make him feel comfortable. Name him the starter for the remainder of the year. How tough is that going to be? 3 of those 5 games are on the road. And 2 of those games that are at home have solid defense. That's not an easy stretch. Throw him to the Wolves. Let's see what happens. Now, what do you guys think? What do y'all think? Think he should be named the starter the rest of the year? Think he should even be starting this year? That's the big thing that I want to know. Now, let me know in the comments section. Who should start this week? Who should start the remainder of the year? I would love to see what we did this year in preseason. We had a quarterback controversy preseason. And Rudolph won out. But now we're having a little quarterback controversy in the middle of the season. What happens if Big Ben decides he can't do it anymore? Yeah, I want to make a little comment about Big Ben. What exactly is happening with Big Ben? Did he eat Jamarcus Russell? Because holy cow, Big Ben is easily 3 bills right now. I'm thinking the only way he got that big is he went out there and ate Jamarcus Russell. So, he's got a lot of weight loss to dump. He's got a good 40, 60 pounds to drop in there. But will that hinder him? Well, could he hang up his cleat? Solarverse wants to see Paxton. I live in the middle of Nebraska, where the market is here. It's generally in the Denver market, and so I have a lot of friends that are Denver fans, and they all giggle about. I tell them about BTSC people, Steeler Nation, talking about starting Paxton. I don't think anybody they don't want to see that. They had enough of Paxton. So I get the giggle there. I'm good with that. But you know, I want to see a quarterback controversy for the second string next year, just in case Big Ben gets hurt again, just in case he cannot bounce back from the elbow surgery. You know, are either one of these the quarterbacks? Either one of these quarterbacks the answer long term? No, not fool herself. Nope. Neither one of these guys right now, as it stands, are a franchise quarterback. Guys are break in case of emergency only. What happened? Exactly what's happened. So I just want to see what we have. Can Hodges back up Big Ben next year? Will we have any confidence if what happens to Rudolph if Hodges does well in these next games? What happens next year? What happens with that? Is he actually the backup quarterback next year? I have no qualms with either one of them backing Big Ben up next. Okay, you know what? I am going to bail out of here and make myself some supper. So, there is my opinions. I want to see Duck. See Duck for the rest of the year. Would I be crying in my beer seeing Rudolph? No. I don't think Rudolph can make us, get us into the playoffs. I'm not going to say that Duck is going to take us to the Super Bowl because we got a Super Bowl defense, but we don't have a Super Bowl offense. Alrighty, all. Well, again, please give me a thumbs up. Fine if you thought my commentary tonight sucked. A thumbs down then. Okay with that. Got some thick skin. I'm all right. And be sure to subscribe. Because I do put up content like this that does not hit the BTSC website. And of course, ring that bell. Because how else are you going to get notified that I'm going live or that I put up some content? All right, all. This has been Flip Fisher, staff writer for BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. Wanting to thank you all for tuning in, listening, and for the few that actually caught my live stream. I appreciate that. I do this content for you all. I do this to hear myself blabber. So, all right. Take care and be rooting for those Steelers. Which whoever starts at quarterback against those Cleveland Browns. All right. Later.